Hi guys, welcome to Purple Angles. I'm Stephanie,
And I'm Natalie,
where we bring back healthy conversation.
and the beauty of divergent opinions.
Happy New Year! Today is the new year, and we will be addressing mindset and New Year. So we'll start with exploring 2022. That's something I always do, and I love to hear what you do when New Year comes. I always reflect back on my 2022, what I've done, what I've learned, the gratitude I have for everything that happened to me. So I really set up a list because I think we underestimate very often what we can achieve and accomplish within a year. So I set the list. I personally traveled. I took a one-way ticket. It was a very cool year, to be quite honest. So I booked a one-way, went to Miami, ended up in Mexico, then went back to California, came back to Montreal. I had my TEDx, and then I went back to California, spent 3 months. I met a bunch of beautiful people, came back in August. So it was like ongoing, a lot of movement. And my word for 2022, and I know you do this too, I have a word theme for the year. 2022 was surrender. So I had to surrender and follow the flow. So I was traveling, I had a bunch of bumps along the way, a lot of challenges throughout 2022, but I kept my surrender, I kept my theme, and it has served me. So it was difficult, but the outcomes were positive. So I'm very grateful for 2022, and I'd love to hear your side of it.
Yes, so I do like the new year. I do like the beginning of a new year. It feels like a fresh new page. There's a lot of positivity around that, and I love to stop and kind of reflect on my year every time. So I usually take a few days at the beginning of the year, whether it's the first or like the 2nd of January. And a little bit like you, I sit down and kind of revisit my 2022 or the past year and see how that went. There's this little trick that I saw someone share at one time, and I've been actually doing it since. I go back into my calendar and I go back to like January of the past year, and then I go back and see what happened. Like, what are the things that happen every month? Because sometimes you forget, and it's a little reminder of what to be grateful for, of course, but also the things you have accomplished throughout the years, the things that actually didn't go well, or the trips you've had, or so that's like a practice that I do enjoy to do when it comes to looking back at my year. So I do start with that. I also choose a word every year, and that's something that I was actually surprised to see you do as well. We didn't know that we were both doing
No,
that. And funny enough, my word for 2022 was also surrender. And that was not even like we had not even talked about it. We didn't even say we were doing anything like that. And we kind of figured it out like recently, like a few months
yeah,
ago. And I was like, oh my God, that's so weird. You came to my place, I think, and then you
yeah,
saw
I
that I had it
saw
on.
it, and I'm like, hey, me too. That was my
Yeah.
2022.
So that's something I do enjoy to do. So so I stop and take the time to kind of look at the year before. For me, 2022 was the year of surrender. It was a beautiful year, I would say. It was challenging at times. It was a year of growth, very, very personal, internal growth. I did travel a lot as well. I did a lot of alone time as well. So I mean, the beginning of the year we were more kind of locked in. You were out in LA and all this. I was more in Montreal, but then mid-year I decided to take a week off and I went to Mexico to Tulum and I did like a retreat on my own, no phone, no internet, no access to anything. It was me, myself, my books, and my music, and the people around me. I met beautiful souls over there, spoke about so many interesting subjects, about people's passions, people's purposes. It was a time for me to heal. I had had a rough kind of 2021, and 2022 was about healing and taking back my power. So that trip that I did that one week alone was extremely fulfilling. I came back with a different perspective, and but it's a process, right? It's a journey, and when you're on that kind of healing, on that healing journey, so Tulum for me was that, and then I spent some time in Lebanon with my family. I hadn't seen them in almost 3 years because of COVID, and and the restrictions and all that. So connecting back with my homeland was actually something very dear to my heart. And I did not expect that trip to mean that much. I was going, because I missed my family and I wanted to connect, but being there, I felt more at home than ever. Whether it was in nature with a hike that I did for like 4 or 5 hours in the mountains, or spending like quality time with my family, like laughing and laughing, like, for hours on like multiple evenings, and kind of just stopping and realizing that was super precious. So that connection with my family, with my grandma, who's getting like both my grandmas that are getting older and more fragile, and kind of taking the time to spend quality time with them and have conversation about them and their lives, and taking as much wisdom as I could from them. So it meant the world to me to be there. So that too was something that was very impactful for my 2022, during 2022. And the one thing also I do want to share, and it was actually the relationship both you and I have that kind of grew a lot. I might get emotional, but
Same. You just said it, and I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
for people to know, I mean, we did reconnect at the end of 2021, and 2022 for us kind of was extremely valuable. I discovered you again. I discovered how you grew, how I grew, and how we kind of reconnected at the right time. And the relationship we've built in the past months has been extremely precious to my heart. And I feel like your family already. So that's not even like a question in my mind or in my heart. And what I'm extremely excited about and I'm happy about is this new partnership we have. A partnership where we are finding our purpose. Not we are finding, we are actually following our purpose. We're just starting, and I'm excited for the next few steps. And I think I mean, this is step one.
Yep.
There's a lot coming.
Yep.
But I think that what's been the most important is actually being aligned, and being aligned with our hearts, with our purpose, with our friendship. And I'm extremely grateful for that. And that's something I definitely wanted to acknowledge and take the time to share with you. And thank you for that. It really does mean the world to me. And I think that the other thing for me, 2022 was about family. And I spoke about you as family. And I have people in my life, my close family, my siblings, my parents, and I have very, very dear friends in my life that I do consider as family. And realizing the importance of that connection, and realizing how everything can go wrong, but that unit, that connection is so precious, and everything can go wrong, but that is always there. And this past year kind of reminded me of that. And those important people in my life that are close to my heart and that help me grow, that are there to love me no matter what. And that's something that kind of I've realized, not that I didn't know that, but I think sometimes you need to kind of stop and acknowledge it and see it and be grateful for it. So that's what I kind of got from my 2022 year. It was a roller coaster of emotions, which is good. It's good.
Yeah.
And it was a year that brought back peace into my heart. And I'm grateful for that year. And I'm only excited for the next year. So that's 2022 for me. I know we both have some little habits that we do at the beginning of the year for the next year, because we're both visionaries. We're both, we both like to look at the future more than at the past. And I would love for you to share what you do at the beginning of the year, or what you do to kind of prepare yourself for the following year.
Thank you for your words. It touched my heart. So, I feel the same, and it's the relationship has made me grow quite some bit, and I'm really grateful. I don't think I have another word, but it's deep gratitude to have you in my life. So thank you. 2023. So how do I look at the future? I used to write these goals and these very specific numbers and everything. And there's a lot that we hear that you should write goals, you should plan, you should do all this. I personally stopped, and it's a personal choice. So everyone's right, like could do whatever feels best for them. I personally stopped because for me, writing goals and writing something so specific is good to some extent, but it also doesn't allow flow. And I'm someone who loves to flow and loves to adapt and loves to move with life and accept what's happening and accept something that if something doesn't work out, maybe it's telling me that I should just move a little bit or do something different versus being really stuck and stubborn on something that maybe is not my real purpose. Maybe it's not the right path. And maybe it's just an influence from social pressure or what I should be doing or what people is perceiving as being good. So for me, having these goals, I focus them more on my emotions that I want. Like I want to feel fulfilled. I want to follow my purpose. So really standing by those things rather than I want to make X amount of money. Because if I don't reach that, because life is always moving and you never know exactly, you can, but it's just not reaching everything that you said. And I'm the type that would set like super long lists. I used to write like lists that are almost like it's kind of obvious that some of them are not going to be reached. So when I wouldn't reach them, instead of it would make me feel more stressed rather than flow and accept how things were happening in my life. That doesn't mean that I don't have big goals. It doesn't mean that I don't have a vision and that I don't execute and I don't dream. Quite the opposite, actually. It just allows me to flow through my purpose and through my life without having a stress of needing that check based on I don't know what. So I stopped doing goals. I always have that word, which I'll share in a bit after you share your portion of your what you do for 2023. So it's more a flow, and I focus more on gratitude for 2022. The big vision, how I want to stand by my values and my core, and how I want to stay aligned. That's one of the most important things to me. How I want to follow my intuition, and the rest I let life be. So
And when did you realize that like setting goals was not for you?
good question. A couple of years ago, I'd say 2, 3 years ago, where I was just like finding myself that I was writing them down, and then I'm like, that's so small. Actually, it's like it limits me because if I would write a number, let's say I'm gonna say not like $10, just to give a number, maybe my potential is bigger than that. So I would like limit the possibilities, and maybe I would reach not even that, but then I would be angry. Like there was too much attachment on something that is not probably what's coming to me. I wasn't allowing, I was kind of imposing. So when I started realizing this, because I journal a lot, as you know. So when I started realizing that the papers were just repetitions of things that maybe are not doing me the best. So I'd say 2, 3 years ago, I started realizing that I don't think that's the way that I want to go.
Yeah.
I,
And
I yeah.
and that's worked well for you. So
That, yeah, honestly, it's been super powerful. Standing by that and just remaining you. It takes the pressure off, to be quite honest. It flows more. How about you?
It's changed throughout the years. So I've done multiple things. I did some, goal setting in the past, and like the SMART goals. Like I'm very like organized in how I do my goals, and like what's the timing, and so I did used to do that in the past. I don't do that anymore. Kind of a little bit for similar reasons. I not that I don't think it's good to be doing setting goals. I think there is power in writing down what you want and stopping to kind of think about the things that you would want. That I think there is power in that. And I do think some people will feel good doing this and might not feel the same, let's say, stress that you were feeling if you were not hitting those goals. So it's your relationship with that I think is important, like how you perceive it. So some people do very well with that, and if that works, I think great. That's like one extra tool to kind of do at the beginning of the year. I think it's very positive, and for most people. For me, what I think relates to me the most, or I feel more comfortable with, is I do a vision board. So at the beginning of the year, and usually I do it on the 1st of January. It's like this kind of tradition that I sit down and do it. And then I do like a vision of the next year. So what are the things that come to my mind? What are the big things? It could be small, it could be big. The main focus the things that I want to focus on in the next year. And I know some people do vision boards, like they'll get a bunch of magazines, cut them out, stick them on a paper. There's that way of doing it. That's actually a fun activity to do with friends or with family. If you have time over the holidays, I think it's really cool. I have some friends that do it with their kids, and I think that's awesome because you're kind of preparing them to look big and to look at the future and to start manifesting a little bit. The way I do it, I like to take like Pinterest pictures or Instagram pictures or like things on the internet, and I do like a big. I actually print it out, so it's pretty big, it's like this big, nice. And then I print it out, and I have a frame in my apartment where I put it in. So I wake up every day and I see it.
Nice.
So it's just something that's kind of in the background. It's there, but it's not something that necessarily I'm gonna like focus on every single day. It is the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning. So that I think is good because it's kind of taking that energy also with you. And I do believe more in that. I do believe in looking at what you want, having those goals, but more on a vision perspective and kind of living around them and having them in your environment so that they're always a reminder. So that's something that I enjoy doing. The other thing is choosing one word. So I do choose one word for the year, and I do a little like montage with it, like on online, like on my computer, and I print it out. I put it in a frame as well. So if you come into my house, you're gonna see my one word on the wall. It's there. Which is actually a very good subject of conversation when people come to your house. So that's actually cool. And I think it's a cool conversation to have too. And I know some people started doing it because I shared that. So I think that's also cool. And yeah, so last year was surrender. And I still keep it in my mind every single day. Like, when you're used to always kind of planning and having those, goals and things not turning out this way because life is full of surprises and it's never going to turn out the way you think it's going to turn out. Kind of remembering to surrender was important for me in the past year. And that's something I'm also taking with me in 2023. So it's not like, oh, that was last year, now I'm good. It's something that I do want to follow with in 2023 as well. But to kind of, have that little conscious element in your mind of like, let go. If you're, am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? Is that going to happen with my career? Is that going to happen with my personal life? Or we all have those questions, right? When we're thinking about the future, when we're thinking about the next year. And I think to kind of let go and just trust life, because it always turns out okay. No matter what happens in life, it always turns out okay. There's bad moments, there's good moments. That's what it is. But with darkness comes light, and with light comes darkness. So it's just a matter of how you look at it. So kind of letting go and trusting life is my motto at the moment.
What's your next word?
My next word. So I was thinking about that this week a lot, actually. And there's this one word that kept coming back. And I was hesitating between two words, but the one that kept coming back and showing up is intention. So for 2023, my word is intention. And not in intention, and not only in my actions and how I do things, but it's always remembering the why behind everything that I do. And I think it's important it brings you back to your core values, to who you are as a person, and to always act with intention. That's how I see it. So surrender is following me. It's there. But I do want to bring a lot of focus and emphasis on living my life with intention in every aspect of it. What about you?
Me, it's power.
Okay.
So it's the word that it's funny because I was thinking, and when I went to Holistica too this year, right? So I was in Mexico in March, I think.
Early, yeah, around that time.
Yeah. And it's like when I was doing that womb dance in that, and we had to sing. Oh, I think it was the chakra. I think it was the throat, actually. That it was another
like session.
Session, exactly. And we had to say a sentence, and we had to say something that we want to work on, or something that's like we want to bring out. And what I said was, I am power.
Ah,
It just came back like this week because power
oh
kept on
wow.
coming back. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, wow. It started like back in March where I'm like, I had to work on understanding my power, tapping into my power, empowering others, because I know that that's part of my power, like how to empower others and help others reach. And so I had to tap into this, and that was kind of the work for the next year, 2023, to really like go full in and that be the theme. So it's, yeah, it's been following me in the back and tried to
Ah,
work that. Yeah, it's actually I noticed this week. So I'm like, okay, power, again, tapping into my power, not trying to dim my light, empowering others and bringing the light of others, and that everyone can shine. So really, it's not just about me, but lifting other people and part of the purpose and everything that we do. So that's my next
I
work.
love that. I love that. We have to work on creating our little picture and printing it.
Yeah, I think that could be cool, actually.
Yeah, we could do
That
that
could be
together.
cool.
That would be very cool.
That could be cool.
One thing I do want to share with everyone listening is we're talking about different tools and different, like exercises that we do, and some people might relate, some people might not. And I know we hear a lot about that, especially at this time of the year. You're setting up your goals and doing a vision board and writing down what you're grateful for. And I think it's important to remember that do what works for you. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to feel the pressure of doing these things. You might just need to rest during the holidays, and you might just need to enjoy your time with your family and maybe not have sit down and do that. And I want to just make sure that people know that it's okay. Like you don't have to be doing all these things. We're sharing what works for us. Doesn't mean it works for everybody. If it can, influence someone or help them do that for themselves,
Inspired.
give them ideas, inspire. Yeah, amazing. That's amazing. I think the important thing, I think, for when you're starting a new year is feeling good within yourself and feeling good about what you do and how you do things and doing it your way. There's no right way. There's no wrong way. Your way is the right way. So what works for you to feel better, to feel good about how the new year's coming and how you perceive it is what's important. So we're happy to share our little traditions or the tools that we do. And would love to hear what other people do actually. So if
Sure,
you can
please
please share
share.
that with us, like always looking to have other inspirations, and maybe we'll start doing things that you guys are sharing. So please write them down, share with us, and we'll be happy to take a look at that as well.
Thank you so much for the beautiful closing message. And we'll see you at the next podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year.